Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be with you here again. We're going to do something a little bit different than what you're used to seeing with sort of tactic testing type videos. So instead of like sticking in the tactic and then going on holiday for like the whole season and then seeing what happened, I played with a tactic throughout the entire season, and we're going to take a quick look here and see what the results were. So if you haven't been watching my sort of Football Manager Let's Play videos, we'll give you a little glimpse here. I'm coaching a team that's called Yanbian FC. This team no longer exists in real life. Yanbian FC went out of business in about 2018 or something like that. I'm playing with a customized Chinese database that I found on the Steam Workshop, which is in Chinese. I do read Chinese, so I understand what it says. There are all sorts of little funky things about this database, but among them are the fact that a whole bunch of long dead Chinese teams have been brought back to life. And after my prior experience with Ingolstadt 04, where I lost my job in about, 9-10 games or something like that, after trying my own tactics, I thought, well, I better relax a little bit. And so I did. I went on to the Sports Interactive forums and found a tactic by our good old friend Knap. And that's what you see here. This is the Beowulf Knap Baltig 424 IFVOLP 108 ECV2. I'm going to put a link down below in the description to this tactic. This was not created for the current match engine. It was designed around the previous match engine. But as we're going to see in a second, it still works really, really well. You might wonder, first of all, you're probably thinking, wait, a downloaded tactic, that's illegal or that's evil. It's not. I'm going to tell you that. I already have a video about that. I might need to do another one. It's okay to use downloaded tactics, guys. I mean, technically speaking, when you're using, the tactic patterns and stuff that you use in the game when you create your own tactics, you're using a pre-created tactic. You're just sort of modifying it and make it do what it is that you want to do. I mean, what's the difference between that and downloading a tactic that somebody else has come up with, right? I really fail to see the difference. This tactic, I'll just give you a little explanation of how it works because I've seen how it works now in about 51 different games. So the focus in this tactic is to try to get as much offensive pressure forward as possible. That's why you have two of these segundo volante roles here in defensive midfield. If you don't know about this role, they're both on support, I can see here. If you don't know about this role, basically, I mean, this thing will explain it to you. What happens is you have it's basically a defensive midfielder position that will, when they win the ball, they'll take it up forward pretty much themselves, and they will try to sort of make the play. Not a complete playmaker type role, but they will often run with the ball, or you'll see them come in with a late run into the opposition area. And so that's kind of what this tactic focuses around. I've noticed when these players play that one of these two will end up being sort of the actual playmaker. You'll see him play a lot more frequently, especially in attacking positions, than the other one. So in our most recent match, that was Lee Jin-young. For the first part of the season, that was Kwon Hyo-kyu. And for most of the season, he's injured now, but it ended up being Paul Wade, who's one of these wonder kids we bought, this French kid's like 22, something like that. And that's kind of what the tactic will center around. So one of these guys will be up here, arriving sometimes a little bit late to the attacking action and late enough to put the rest of the defense off guard. And the other one will be back maybe a little bit more and can help back here with the defense, which is really mostly these two central defenders. This tactic also has overlaps on the left and the right. If you don't know what that means, it means that these fullbacks, the wingbacks on both sides, will come up into offensive positions. Frequently, what would happen when we would play is we would see one of these positions, usually would end up being the right back, who's usually Park Myung-sung, who's now injured. Park Myung-sung, our North Korean, would like take the ball up by himself, and he would usually go all the way up here and look for a cross. Kolundzik would be usually back here. The guy playing in this attacking inside forward role would be somewhere around this area, and you have two strikers here, and sometimes this guy would come over here and play as a third striking player there. On the left side, you would have basically the same thing happen, so you could do it on either side depending on what the defense would give you. And that's basically the way that this tactic works and how it scores goals, right? It's a balanced mentality, right? Something that we've noticed in Football Manager 23 is that the old adage of we need to go attacking or very attacking or even positive all the time is no longer a thing. The balanced mentality is nice because your players will take their time. They'll play a little bit less with less urgency. This is the reason why if you watch some of these matches, you'll see guys like Shi Jiayang Torres, some of these other guys here kind of stand with the ball and wait a little bit. Sometimes they'll look for one of these segundo volantes to pass to and to get the offense set up. Sometimes they'll just look to the side and we'll get a run going up one side or the other and then looking for open players here in the center. So that's basically how it works. Frequently when we would score goals, we would see a lot of goals this season in which one or two of the strikers would basically be perched out right in front of the goal, waiting for a cross to come like right in front of them. We have had goals where the cross came backwards a little bit to one of these players and they scored, or to one of the wingers on the side. So it creates a lot of goals, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So we have a goal differential this season of 223, which is the highest I've ever had in Football Manager. Part of this is because the division that we played against was not exactly the highest quality. We just defeated Yantai Yintai, who managed to win 2 matches out of 46 all season with a goal differential of minus 93. So as you can see, I mean, the league that we had here was pretty much heavily weighted on the top. Beijing University was pretty good, and Jiangsu were going up with us. But, I mean, we were absolutely dominant. We lost 0 times. We drew 0 times. And when we go look at the competition page, look at and check some of the stats out, you'll see kind of how this worked, right? So we scored 235 goals. This tactic was nice because we didn't give up a lot of goals either. We had 36 clean sheets all season. We have gone the whole way, all 46 games without losing once. 2 games in a row without conceding. There you go. When we take a look here at the players and how things worked, it'll be interesting for you to know that we didn't have the top scorers in the league, right? Luciano Para actually went through a goal-scoring drought, which is why I haven't been playing him recently. He's only 20 years old, but he scored 33 goals in the season out of 23 starts, 1 sub. Rovaglia was right behind him. He scored 32. I didn't start Rovaglia as much at the beginning of the season because he had a hard time getting his goal scoring underway. He's improved a lot as the season's gone on. He had 32 goals, 25 appearances, and 2 substitutes. We did a lot of rotation, had a lot of different guys coming in. And as you can see, we've completely dominated the average rating. Para, even despite his futility in front of goal recently, was scoring about a goal every 60 minutes. He had a number of hat tricks. He was our hat trick machine for a while. We had guys like Huang Bowen, who we ended up actually getting rid of. When he was with us, though, he had 15 goals and 17 total appearances. If you look at his league performance, it was 15 goals in 12 starts, 5 substitute appearances. We are also, as you may already know, looking to potentially win the Chinese FA Cup, which is amazing because we are in the 3rd rung. We're going to be playing against Shenzhen, who are in the China Super League, 4th place in the Chinese Super League. If we're able to beat them, that would be absolutely amazing. That would be a huge coup. That would be just incredible. I do want to show you a couple of other things, though, before you say, like, oh, well, this is just an overpowered tactic and it wins every match. That is not true, right? So I started with this tactic right from the very beginning of the season. I didn't play any of the friendlies. I didn't manage any of that. I let the computer do that by itself. As you can see, we started off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 friendly losses in a row. It took us 4 games to score a goal. Now, we were playing as good teams. Beijing, Shanghai Shenhua, and Zhejiang are all teams that are in the China Super League, as I think is also Wuhan Changjiang. And I think Kunshan is as well. But Songbong, who we lost to, this is a North Korean team, right? Songbong, like in Rason, North Korea, that's actually not too far away from Yenji. But, we should be able to beat that team, right? We then had a friendly against Yanbian University, a team that we should have absolutely demolished. And, we did fairly well against them, I suppose, but we still gave up 2 goals in this match. This isn't the sign, is what I'm trying to say, of a team or of a tactic that is like so overpowering and so overwhelming that you just automatically win every game. It's not that type of thing, right? We had a draw here against Shanghai Port in another friendly match. And when we started off the Chinese FA Cup, a lot of you will not realize this, we actually drew against, this is Changzhou, I think it is, the Mighty Lions. We ended up winning this one on penalties, right? So this tactic is not like, oh man, you're going to win every match. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to try or anything like that. No, we went through some matches that were a little bit tricky. This match here against Qingdao Hainyo is the one that caused me to realize that we needed to change goalkeepers in a hurry when we gave up 4 goals and we had a lot of problems with our defense, right? So we were having a difficult time at the beginning of the season, despite the fact that we had this like 10-0, 8-0, 8-0, 8-0, and so on. There were matches in which we did not not play very well. And there were times where I thought that this tactic might not be the biggest thing. When you look into the friendlies that we played at home in the winter break, we did draw again with Shanghai Port after beating Beijing in a pretty impressive match. We also had a home friendly against West Ham that we lost 1-0 also at home. So it gives you kind of an idea of sort of, I guess, where the team kind of was in a way of thinking, but it's not the tactic is what I'm trying to say, right? It's not all about, oh, well, the tactic was absolutely dominant and this is the reason why that we win everything. It's not all about the tactic, guys. I mean, the truth is that you have to realize that when you're dealing with Football Manager tactics, you're not just dealing with the tactic. You got to think about your training. You got to look at your players and say, okay, these players really fit the tactic. Do we have to have change in personnel? I did a lot of transfers. We did a lot of spending to try to get personnel in who could play the tactic and play well and who could give us a chance to win. You've got to think also about, like, what about team cohesion? Was the training good at all or not? Did you have coaches in place that were any good? What was the morale like at the squad? One of the reasons why we got rid of Huang Bowen despite all the goals that he scored is because he just wasn't happy. He didn't like anything that was going on. So I said, well, let's kick the bum out. We don't need this guy sitting around. What are we doing here? So, I mean, that's the thing that you've got to sort of think about when you're thinking about your tactics and thinking about how to use it. This is the reason why I kind of have a problem. And I mean, everybody will do what they do as a creator, but I do have a problem with this idea of, oh, well, we're just going to holiday and we're going to stick this tactic in with this team. Let's holiday to the end and see what happens. It's not that simple. You got to play with it. You got to try different things out. You got to say, well, maybe this guy's not good enough. Maybe this guy's really good. Maybe this works. Maybe that doesn't work or whatever. That's what you've got to do to figure out whether a tactic works right, how it works, and what the best way is to manage with it. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to stick with this tactic as long as we have this save going. So you're going to see more of it. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go back. You can watch more of the videos. Come watch us tomorrow. We'll play the Chinese FA Cup final match. I was going to say tomorrow. I think when this video comes out, that'll actually be today. And watch us in the future as we go forward into the second rung and try to keep our winning streak alive. Maybe we'll lose. Who knows? All sorts of things can happen. I'll talk to you later. Bye.